In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a way to quickly override and implement our base methods in our classes that already exist. If you remember, when we created classes, we had the ability to select a few things as we created that class. We can name it, we can tell it whether it's abstract or final, what package it's in, a little bit about interfaces. We could tell it to put a void main in. We could also tell it to inherit and stub in constructors from the superclass. And we can generate comments. But there isn't anything here for the equals method, the toString, the common items that are implemented from an object, or other public members if we're inheriting from another base class. So once we're in our code, should we decide to do that, rather than having to type it all ourselves, we can very easily use a source menu item called override and implement methods. Now here I'm in encryptor.java, so that inherits directly from the base class object, of course. So as I go to implement this, it'll say, well, what methods would you like to override or implement? So here let's assume that we want to do clone, equals, and toString. Here's a neat thing as well. We can determine where we want to insert the code. We can put it right away at the top after the first member. We can put it in the middle, or we can add it to the bottom of the code. So let's go ahead and do that. And we can also select whether or not we'd like to add in the Java doc or method comments. So let's go ahead and select that and say OK. And we'll note that our code has changed, and down at the bottom, we'll find our code methods, and here you see the override, equals, toString, and clone are all generated for us. Of course, we still have to write the code in order to make those work the way we want them to, but now the code is stubbed in as expected. So if we're inheriting from another class, such as JInterналFrame, which inherits from other objects as well, we might see even more things to implement. So here we got password data editor, which extends JInterналFrame, and when we select source, override implement methods, here we'll see we have all the JInterналFrame methods that we could override and implement, as well as JComponent, container, component, and object. So we can still do our clone, our finalize, our hash code, our equals, our toString isn't available because this is a frame, not a regular class. We can then go into the JInterналFrame, and perhaps we want to change how it behaves on hide, or is maximizable, or how it would work when we decide to pack it, or whatever we need to do on this JInterналFrame. So if we go ahead and select OK there, now we'll see I accidentally left this and it inserted at the front of the code. So let's go ahead and undo that, and let's try that again. And this time, let's insert it at the end. And let's just choose a couple here as well. Just go with hide, is closed. It really doesn't matter which ones we're doing here. Just so we can see it in action, you could choose the ones, of course, that make sense to you for your course. And once again, in object, let's just choose equals and clone. And down here, our insertion would want to be at the bottom of the code. And we can see that again, we can generate or non-generate method comments, select OK. And we will note that those aren't exactly Javadoc comments. It does tell us non-Javadoc, but simply we need to change that if we want it to be Javadoc. But there's our code methods stubbed in. So that wraps up our look at overriding and implementing base methods directly into our code.